Okay. So welcome to our Aries full moon circle. I am Raven Feathercloth, and I'm going to be your facilitator for this evening. To get started, I always like to start with my pillars of integrity for a circle. This just ensures that everyone feels safe in this space, and it speaks that sacredness into the space. And in a way, it kind of connects all of us as if we were in person together. So the first pillar of integrity is confidentiality. So what happens in circle stays in circle. So this is when we have open floor. Anything that's shared in open floor, if there is something that you take away from it, and say like a couple days from now, one of your girlfriends is going through something and you really think she would benefit from something you've heard, just reach out to whichever sister shared whatever and just like, hey, I could change your name, but I really think she could use your story, blah blah blah. you know um so it's that safe space. The second pillar of integrity is active listening. So when we are sharing, when we have a sister sharing, we're just making sure that we're giving them that undivided attention, and not in a way of how we often like to do as women, because we like to help and nurture and try to solve the problems. Um, so oftentimes we'll hear somebody going through something and we'll, be listening in order to think of what to tell them to help them. Or sometimes we like to relate, which is also great. But we want to just like listen with the full intent of listening, right? And that way everyone who speaks feels held and heard. And the third and final pillar of integrity is conscious speaking. So letting yourself fully speak from your heart and your soul. If you are not having a good day and you really need to get that off your chest when we have open floor, give yourself that permission. All of you is welcome here, and that's just not the good and the pretty. All of us is sacred, and that includes the ugly parts of us too. And I wouldn't even say ugly because that's all sacred. So giving yourself permission to drop any filters or think you have to fit some sort of box when it's your time, and speak what comes through. And with that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started into our circle. So if I invite you to get comfortable, and if that is laying back or if that is sitting up, but whatever feels safe for you, to close your eyes and allow yourself to just tune into your body and into the space that we're creating here together tonight or on the replay. Feeling your body softening with your breath. Feeling yourself relaxing and sinking down into your seat. Sinking down and growing roots that reach down through your floorboards, down through the foundation of the building or home that you're in. And as you breathe deeper and feeling your breath relaxing your body, visualizing those roots growing deeper still, down into the ground, past the grass and the soil, past the bedrock and the bones of the ancestors, down deep into the core of Mother Earth, our original mother, from whom all life springs. Anchor yourself here. Feel yourself grounded. And then I invite you to bring your awareness back up again, staying rooted, but bringing the awareness to your body. And bringing your awareness to the moon, grandmother moon, La Luna, she who has many names. Feeling her bright light over us and her beautiful energy, breathing that in. Feeling her bright light fill your body as you inhale and exhale. Now I invite you to wiggle your fingers and your toes, coming back into your body now, but remaining aware of this constant connection that we have with each other, with the earth, and tonight with our beautiful full moon. When you're ready, I invite you to open your eyes. I want to thank you for showing up tonight. My name is Mariah Halstead Miller, but I also go by Raven Featherclaw. My given name is Shiawala Wimwe Wishu, which means singing wolf. And funny enough, I have begun incorporating singing into my circles, which you'll see in a little bit. So I was born here in Warwick, New York, where I am. And I would love it if you want to drop in the comments where you're tuning in from, so we can honor those ancestral lands. So I come to this circle on behalf of my paternal ancestors, who are the Ramapo Mansi Lenape, whose ancestral homelands I live on. And in that too, I also come on behalf of my maternal Polish Slavic ancestors who fled to the homelands I'm on as immigrants from the Holocaust. And I like to speak this into because our ancestors are so connected with everything. And once we realize that and we begin honoring them, it's a game changer. So I just wanted to speak them into the space. And then I wanted to once again thank these ancestral homelands and all the ancestral homelands of all those present here tonight. And for all of the two-legged and the four-legged, the finned, the furred, the insects, the stone people, the winged people, and all other holy beings of this natural world. Greetings to you at this time, and also greetings to each and every one of our benevolent, elevated ancestors, our guides, our allies that called us here together in this way. Thank you to all the cosmological teachings and principles of the divine ones and all of the cosmic principles coming into form. Thank you. Thank you to all who have been carrying these traditions and carrying them forward, the mystery teachings, in a good way, so that we may come forward in this time on behalf of assisting this great time of transition. May everything that we share here together in this space be helpful, be practical, be beneficial to each and every one of our hearts, our bodies, our minds, our spirits. And in that way, may it be an offering into the web of life on behalf of the liberation of all beings, human and non-human. Tending and healing to anything that needs healing at this time, to make good offerings in this present moment, to create more beauty for infinite generations to come, and for them to circle and know the medicine of circle, because we have circled now, and honoring those who have circled before us, who continued the tradition so that we may circle here tonight. So mote it be, blessed be, aho, awen, and so it is. I declare this circle open. All right. So the first thing I'm going to share with us is the card that I pulled for us this evening. And I pulled from the Raven's Dream Tarot because that just, where's my camera? That just felt fitting. And the card that we got was the Seven of Wands. I'm gonna try and give you guys a good little scan here. And it says, the raven dreamt of feeling hungry, its gaze set upon a nearby crab, its potential feast. Just as the raven was about to snatch up its coveted prize, a tentacle, as unsettling as it was, unexpected, emerged from the water. The raven, taken aback but undeterred, edged a little closer to the crab, its resolve unbroken. Yet the sea had more surprises in store. Another tentacle materialized from the waves, then another, and another still. The sight was alarming, escalating the raven's initial concern to a full-blown apprehension. Fear coursed through the raven's veins for a fleeting moment, its heart pounding a frantic rhythm against its chest. Yet just as quickly as it had arrived, the fear dissolved, replaced by a wellspring of courage that surged through the raven's being. It took a deep breath, bolstering its bravery, and stood its ground. The raven would be enjoying that crab this evening. The Seven of Wands often depicts a scene where one is standing their ground against opposing forces. This card may appear when you feel the need to defend your position, beliefs, or decisions, possibly from many angles. To stand up to challenges and opposition, one must display courage. The Seven of Wands carries the energy of courage and bravery, showing the strength you possess to face adversity head on. The card is a symbol of strength and persistence. It represents the determination and the willpower to persist despite obstacles and opposition. And it shows that one can overcome adversity through resilience. Despite depicting a challenging situation, the Seven of Wands suggests that you have the upper hand on or an advantage position. This card indicates that if you stand firm and hold your ground, you're likely to prevail. In a more general sense, this card signifies facing a challenge. It's a call to rise to the occasion, stand firm in your convictions, and meet whatever situation is at hand with strength and determination. And when I first pulled this card, I thought it was really fitting because of the energy that is under this moon and what's going on. And I know that the way that it hit home for me, I know that it hit home for others. Like, I have to share this. And if you see me looking off to the side, I have my notes. I have a whole bunch of notes. I'm a note person, so I'm usually like looking at my flow so I don't get thrown off or too distracted because I could sit here and talk for hours. Okay, so we're gonna jump into our moon talk. September comes to an end with a fiery full moon in Aries, offering us the courage to release what is not ours to carry anymore, and to step fully into the direction that is ours to take. Sometimes guidance from both above and within meet us softly, whispering in the winds as it flows through us. Other times, it's as if we've been stepped into the flames, unable to look away, unable to move away. Guidance clear as day, filled with urgency. Aries is fire. Fire is passion, demanding and powerful. Fire cannot be missed, at least not the kind of fire that Aries burns with. Aries fire is felt loudly in our bodies and in our minds. It demands that we move, burning away what cannot survive in its potency. Demanding that we let our flames roam free, only to realize that those flames hold intelligence, a knowing, and a built-in sense of purpose, clarity of direction. Freedom for those flames is simply, wholly, and powerfully to move in the direction that is for them. In other words, for us. The guidance of Aries fire demands that we move in the direction that is ours to walk. It's not concerned with niceties or with complications, with narratives, with anything else, really. It is the warrior on a mission, tunnel visioned and devoted. It shows us our direction and says, go. It is the only option. Aries manifests as impatience and restlessness in our minds and bodies until we do as those flames demand. It's built within getting louder and louder until it's all that we can hear. It burns away at us until we bow our heads to it, until we bow our heads to our destiny and to ourselves. Aries shows us that our path isn't just a desire, it's a need. And that need cannot be ignored under this full moon. Full moons are about fullness, and they're about recognizing the fullness in our lives, all that we have, to be grateful for that. But it's also about closure. They are culminations that invite us to shed. As the moon reaches her fullness, it is clear what can no longer continue into her next phase. And so she begins dropping layers and letting go of what is expired. The moon teaches us to surrender to our seasons, our cycles, our inner knowing and movement. As she sheds, there is no fear of becoming empty, because empty is where she can begin again. It is the only way she can begin again. And she must begin again, just as Aries urges us to. The full moon offers us the courage to release what is no longer ours to carry, dropping layers that cannot come with us as we say yes to the direction that is ours to walk. Also, the north node of destiny and evolution shines bright in this same fiery sign of Aries, highlighting our individual paths of purpose. And as the moon burns with the fires of Aries, it is tuned into this purpose, tuned into our purpose, and showing us what must be burned away in service to it. Who do you need to become so that you can walk your path? And what must be released for you to become this expression of yourself? The full moon also asks us to find balance between the self and the other. If you're experiencing conflict or friction with others, think of it as an initiation into a deeper level of self-discovery, where you stand and what your needs are. The tricky part is, how can you do this without causing a war? If your head hasn't been stuck in the sand lately, and you can see how incredibly polarized and divided the world has become lately, we're currently having a major thought war. And unfortunately, it's getting more intense. With Mercury in Virgo making a trine to Uranus, we're being asked to be very deliberate with our words, to speak mindfully and with the intention for the good of all. This is an aspect that is encouraging us to think about the future of humanity. How can you be a living example for your vision of the future? Your words are spells. Speaking with consciousness can be medicine. Speaking unconsciously can cast curses. It's also the same thing with the evil eye, little footnote. I'm sure all of us in here have heard of the evil eye, and we know what the evil eye is. We can also unintentionally cast the evil eye on people without meaning to, just by feeling something so intensely and then casting a glance in their direction. You know, it's so easy. And the more that I've been diving into my maternal ancestral folk practices, their evil eye is called Broki, and it can very much be passed around. So it's also that mindfulness again of our energy and where we're directing it. In the future, people are going to look back at the time we're in right now, and they're going to view it just like how we view the witch trials. And I say this because we are experiencing a mass psychosis right now. And it's happened many times throughout history whenever there was a big collective trauma. During the Salem witch trials, there was a smallpox pandemic and a massive inflation at the same time. The ones who got executed were the ones who threatened the fragile status quo. Does that sound familiar? Oppression is real. The lived experience of the marginalized, disenfranchised, and socially disadvantaged is real. But I smell something fishy when the system gets involved as deeply as it is now. This is much bigger than left and right. Something much bigger is happening behind the scenes. Divide and conquer is the oldest trick in the book. So we're being asked to wake up and really become aware of what it is we're fighting for and what we're up against. And recognizing the power in community and connection. If this lunation, this moon phase could talk, it would say, do the thing that scares you now. Your desires are your inner navigational system for life. So take action on them often and watch how the magic unfolds. Saying no is a self-protection spell. Your needs are not a sign of weakness. They are a sign of your humanity. Stand up for what's right, even if you're standing alone. And it asks us, how can you stand in your truth, power, and authenticity without causing a war? How can you do that without causing a war? Rage can be a powerful weapon for good when it becomes conscious. When unconscious, rage can be a powerful force for destruction. So be crystal clear on where your rage is coming from and be precise at where you are aiming it towards. And I mention this because Aries, being that very fiery sign, I'm sure I'm not the only one who has been feeling that like shorter fuse and that fire. So in the chat, we were asked, what if that rage is in self-defense? And I'm actually going to get into this because that's a great question. So I could do a whole circle itself on sacred rage because that's become one of my best friends this year, I feel like, this past year. So that's exactly the next thing that I was going to get into was that sacred rage. And in a nutshell, sacred rage is kind of like that Kalima energy. And so it's very much a life force energy. And I need to step away for 1 second because I need to. Okay. So getting into. Oh, and before we get into the sacred rage really quick, I wanted to touch on in the Witch's Almanac date book, when they talk about this full moon that we're under tonight, it says grief, right? And it says the harvest moon falls on Friday, the day of Venus, also Freya's day. And the moon lore refers to the time in North America when the farmers reaped the grains of the fields. In European folklore, this also meant a complicated time for the crop spirit, which sometimes resented the harvesting because that meant sacrificing its very life. Yet the sacrifice in and of itself represented a deep act of love, giving the body of the crop so that the people who raised and tended it could survive the winter and then plant the children of the original crop in the spring. Sometimes sacrifice comes with complex grief, a love for the self, even as we give up a piece of ourselves for the good of our children, our partners, our family, or our country. Take this time to look at the grief behind sacrifices and permit yourself to feel that self-love. Listen to the grief and find a healthy way to express the love behind it. Thought that was beautiful because the next thing that I'm getting ready to dive into talks about the sacred rage and grief because I feel like they're like besties and like everywhere is one is the other. So, let me look at my notes really quickly. Okay. So, there is a fire that exists in the belly of the collective feminine. A fire that has been burning since the very moment woman was defiled, violated, burned. Ash to ash, womb to womb, generation to generation. Do you carry around within you this burning anger? This short fuse that you can't quite pinpoint or figure out? I do too, and it's been a serious struggle. And it started with me really looking and healing my childhood traumas, my inner child wounds. And it evolved then into leaning more into different dynamics of like feminine healing, like the sister mother witch wound, shadow work, reparenting. Holistic means many makes the whole. So, you know, all these different healing modalities. And the more I leaned in, you know what I found time and time again? Was that fucking rage. Every time. And the first time that I stopped feeling ashamed of my rage was when I was listening to a video of one of my spirit guides, Ram Dass, and it was a video of him talking about his earlier years in his spiritual journey and him talking to his guru and his guru telling him, you know, you need to be love. In all that you do, it needs to be from love. And Ram really struggled with this because he had a short fuse and people got on his nerves and all the things. And so he told his guru one day, you know, how can I be love if I'm angry? I'm an angry person. Like I am just angry. And his guru told him that that is where you start. To be able to understand that everything happens for a reason and it is there for a reason and that we are human. We're not these superhuman beings who can go through XYZ and not be affected. The other day, yesterday, I think we were coming back from the park and I had this this just thought to myself, first of all, that was it's gonna sound funny, but it was like we're all just grown up kids trying to find what it is that we're looking for, and we most oftentimes don't even know what it is that we're looking for. And if we're lucky, then we begin this breadcrumb trail of holistic healing, right? And so it was very interesting to me, like once I was able to drop the shame of that rage, because it's there for a reason. So, everything begins and ends with the womb. This is the first words that I was told in my womb healer training. But it's also, it hit home for so many more reasons, because our cellular life begins in the womb of our grandmother, if you really think about it. As she's growing our mother inside of her womb, a woman is born with all of the eggs that she'll ever have in her lifetime. So around 3 or 4 months gestation is about when the ovaries and the eggs start to develop in utero. So for a little while, our grandmas carry us too. And I say this to say that red thread of trauma that is passed down from woman to woman and womb to womb is so real. And so back in December, I lost my grandmother, and she was my maternal grandmother. And she was the woman who raised me. She was my elder. And I'm still healing from that loss, the initial shock of the loss. But I really had to let myself like die with that loss to get through it. I had to feel it for everything that it was. And it opened my eyes up, because the day before we lost her, I signed up for my holistic womb healing training. And I completely forgot about it because of losing her and the shock and all of that. So I took a couple months, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm sitting on this course. I haven't even logged into it. I haven't looked at it. And so I signed in, and I literally was like fixated on learning about it once I learned how it was all connected. And it blew my mind to really sit back and reflect on certain things, and it really helped me even heal my relationship with my mother. Like, we're closer now, and just all the things. And so it's been a beautiful ripple effect. And I say this to say that when we begin just showing up to circle, when we begin looking at our rage, looking at the things that are coming up, and not putting shame on it, it's there. And when I look at my Nana, there were times when that rage was there for her too. When I think about her story, what she went through, when I think about what my mom went through in her lifetime, when I think about what my Bapshi went through, and then her mother, and so like going back, like it's no fucking wonder we are angry. Like, it's no wonder. And so we are given this beautiful gift of being the ones to alchemize this rage for our lineage, but also to be able to understand that it's not something to be ashamed of, but it's actually kind of a superpower, because not everybody feels this sacred rage. Not everybody gets it. But rage is a life force energy, like Shakti energy. And if we can be aware of when our rage is activated, and that beautiful window between when it's activated and when we act on it, that space in between is a beautiful and sacred space. Because then we get to decide, how do we want to wield this rage? Do we want to burn it all down? Or do we want to recognize the power, okay? So as a woman who comes from both Native American and Polish Slavic roots, you got a genocide and attempted genocide on both sides, you know, lots of ancestral trauma, lots of shit to be mad about, right? Passed down. Now, when I began looking into those stories and recognizing how I too have lived those stories somehow, different details, the same stories, it helped me to shift things, and it helped me to see that I wasn't the only one that was feeling this stuff, you know, or going through the things, and recognizing that I am every woman who came before me. Okay. And recognizing that as I heal my wounds, I'm healing theirs. And that's kind of been my life's experience. And so that's like the sacred rage, right? Being able to, it is that rage that comes through, but then that sacred moment in between the rage and the reaction is where you really can come in, because sacred rage to me, I understand her like that bestie, right? That does not sugarcoat shit. That is a complete 100% advocate for you and doesn't care who she's got to kick down, knock over, whatever, drag through the dirt by their hair because they were crossing your boundaries, disrespecting you, not letting you be heard, things like that. That's when that sacred rage really shows up. And so that window in between the rage and the reaction is that moment for us to say, okay, okay, because rage is just another emotion, just like happiness, just like joy or sadness. We allow ourselves to feel happiness and feel joy. We need to allow ourselves to feel sadness and feel grief and feel rage, because it's just another part of that range of human emotion. And society has just made us feel shame for it. And especially as women, right? When we're angry, we're either crazy or we're on our moon or this, that, and the other. And we get totally bypassed. And that's bullshit. Because back before society became this patriarchal society where all they cared about was like money and, you know, if you don't have it, you're not shit. Before then, it was community. And at the core of community was women. And this is something that I've come to learn, and it wasn't just Native American cultures that did this. It was all over the world. It was all indigenous cultures, because indigenous is not a color, it's not from a specific continent. And so they were matrilineal and matriarchal societies. And these women, they gathered in circle and at the core of these communities, and they discussed, you know, what was best for the villages and for the tribe and for the kids, and they cooked together and they bled together and they sang together, all the things. And that rage was also very much honored. And once we were collectively gaslit by society and the patriarchy to silence the woman, you know, there's still certain places in the world where a woman is considered half of a man, you know. So we're trying to do away with that energy. But anyways, so that sacred rage, that all of these are reasons why we feel this passed down, and because we're feeling it, women are still being put through it to this day, you know. So, but this sacred rage shows up for us as that self-advocating ally. Where are your boundaries being crossed? Where are you not being heard? Where are you being disrespected? And she's reminding us of our worth. And how can you use this fire as fuel for change? And so this brings me to talk about Kali Ma, because normally I feel her more on the new moon, with the dark moon with her, but this fiery Aries energy and this where is your boundaries being crossed, sacred rage, it's got her written all over it. So Kali Ma is one of the more popular forms of the divine. How is that spelled? I'm taking notes. Kali and then space Ma. Kali Ma. And I actually have her behind me because she's one of my goddesses. And so she's one of the more popular deva from India, especially among women. And she is also known as the Great Destroyer. And she is even more powerful than Shiva. And in her destruction, she allows new things to be born. In this way, she is both a killer and a mother. She often appears when the prettier, softer. Catherine, can you grab me my blue accordion folder that's down there? I just heard something. So she often appears when the prettier, softer goddesses are enraged, when a male force like Shiva, or the demon on the battlefield from her story tries to control or subjugate her. There are also several stories that tell of how she appears when her loves try to abandon her, when her heart feels threatened to break. Kali represents Shakti, the fundamental feminine energy that animates everything and will not be fully controlled by masculine force, according to tantric philosophy. She also represents a reality that many human women I know well. The rage that arises when a man we love underestimates us, blocks our progress, or refuses to show up for us. She is sometimes understood as the shadow side of life that we don't want to look at in the face most times. But as she tells Shiva, her fierce, bloody face is her true self. Death is a reality of life. Anger and rage can reveal whatever truth has been bubbling beneath the surface. Anger is a power that we all hold inside of our bodies. We all reveal prettier faces most of the time because generally we catch more flies with honey, right? But love and forgiveness are powerful too. And we must not forget the Kali that lives inside each and every one of us. We've all felt oppressed before, no matter what our gender. And rage can give us the strength to see past fear and take action. Every now and then we need to rise up, bare our true fangs, and resist. And I pulled us a card from my Kali Oracle deck because I felt like why not hear straight from her herself. And we got the Garu Devi. I'll show you the picture. I'll post all of these in the event page as well so that you guys can see pictures. You can see the pictures more clearly, but that's what the card looks like. And it says, champion of the sweet souls with fierce hearts who are underestimated and passed over. She who is gentle as the deer and ruthless as the lioness, who is the capacity within the awakened heart to rise, to overcome obstacles, to have faith without any evidence of victory, and to rally the spirit until the right moment to act and win. She is nonconformity and the freedom to be one's true self. Recognize your own beauty and value, irrespective of whether another has the capacity to behold it. You will shine. It says the divine feminine is often misunderstood. She is stereotyped as weak and passive, and therefore underestimated or dismissed, or as devouring and castrating. So she is feared and spurned. Yet she is not one thing or the other. She is the wisdom of what is needed. Garu is the secret softness and light that is part of Kali. Yes, Hinduism, yes. She's a Hindu goddess. We would call her Kali's bright shadow. She is domesticity and accessibility, where Kali is skulls. She is dressed beautifully in sumptuous attire, whereas Kali is naked, smeared with ash and blood. Gauri shows us how to operate within social systems, while Kali rejects and disrupts social conditioning. Let's see. It says, when Garu Devi arises in a reading, you are asked to check your boundaries and tune into your capacity to hiss and to realize you are entitled to be kind, but also to be respected. If you have seen yourself as a badass, it's time to embrace your softer side. And if you have been soft and doubted your ability to stand up for yourself, you have simply forgotten that you are also Kali. Play with the balance, with what resonates, and know that if you allow for it, the divine will spontaneously arise from within and in whatever form shall accomplish the task. Take responsibility for the consequences of your actions while trusting in the methods that flow through you. And I'll share that in the group event. And she also comes with a little invocation, little prayer. So with that, we talked about sacred rage. We talked about grief. We talked about honoring our boundaries. The next thing that I want to do is I have a song, or rather more of a chant. It's a song to Kali, and the song invites her into the space to burn away all that no longer serves us. And one of the beautiful things that I have learned about working with Kali is that she is also called the devourer. And this is because she has absolutely no problem coming in and having you be like, here, Kali, here is my rage. Here's all this stuff that I just can't anymore. I can't take it away from me. And she devours it. She devours our rage. And she comes through like that wildfire that comes through and burns away all that is no longer alive, so that new growth can come through. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this song for us, and I'm gonna post in the comments the lyrics, or not in the comments, in the chat. So that way you can sing along. And I'll tell you why. Because there is power in our voices. Our throat and our womb is very much connected. And as women, as humans in general, our bodies keep the score. It holds on to things. It remembers things. It remembers everything. And so our bodies hold on to trauma and that rage if we can't get it out. You know what I mean? And so when we chant and we sing intentional things, it gives our it activates that connection between our sacred womb space. Even if you don't have a physical womb, that's that energetic womb space and our throat chakra, and it literally helps us just get ourselves out there. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna play this, and yeah, to mute this. Awesome. Great Mother, we invoke you in this space. Take away the pain and fill us with your grace. Oh, Great Mother, we invoke you in this space. Take away the pain and fill us with your grace. Burn it all away, Kali, burn it all away. If it doesn't serve us, then burn it all away. Burn it all away, Kali. If it doesn't serve us, then burn it all away. Om Namo Kali Kali Om Namo. Om Namo Kali Kali Om Namo. Om Namo means I bow to you. Kali Om Namo. Om Namo Kali Kali Om Namo. Oh, Great Mother, we invoke you in this space. Take away the pain and fill us with your grace. Oh, Great Mother, we invoke you in this space. Take away the pain and fill us with your grace. Burn it all away, Kali, burn it all away. If it doesn't serve us, then burn it all away. Burn it all away, Kali, burn it all away. If it doesn't serve us, then burn it all away. Om Namo Kali Kali Om Namo. 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 Oh, Great Mother, we invoke you in this space. Take away the pain and fill us with your grace. Oh, Great Mother, we invoke you in this space. Take away the pain and burn it. Oh, great. Burn it all away, Kali. Burn it all away. If it doesn't serve us, then burn it all away. Burn it all away, Kali. Burn it all away. If it doesn't serve us, then burn it all away. Beautiful. Just take a minute to feel how you feel in your body. And was I the only one who felt like she was dancing around the space that you were in? Just dancing all around like the wild woman she is. So that's how powerful we are. Sorry to hear that. I'm gonna send you the recording, that way you can go back and listen to it when you have the space. That way you can really let yourself get into it and scream the words if you have to, because sometimes that feels really good. All the time that feels really good. Okay. So now I invite you guys, if you have paper and pen, we're gonna journal on a couple of things. And if you don't have paper and pen, that's also fine. Um, and then these are just kind of things that if you want, we'll talk about on the open floor. And if not, this is even something you can come back to later. Again, I'm gonna share all this stuff in the group chat and on the event page too. So to journal. Oh, good. That makes me happy. Rocking right out. Beautiful. And that's the beauty of circle, right? Okay. So the first journal prompt that I have for you guys, and I'm gonna play a little music in the background too while you guys journal, so it'll help get the juices flowing or what have you. So I have a journal prompt and then I have two other their journal prompts about that. Okay. So the first one is, in what ways does your sacred rage show up? And how can you use this for divine transformation? I'm going to copy and paste the journal prompts in the chat as well, because I know I need to hear something like 3 times before I get it all down on paper. So copy and paste is amazing, and I'm just going to send it right on in there for you guys. But again, that was, in what ways does your sacred rage show up? And how can you use this for divine transformation? And I'm going to give you guys a few moments a few minutes to journal on this. Some background music for you as well. In what ways does your sacred rage show up? And how can you use this for divine transformation? This meeting is being recorded. I put the journal prompts in the chat. I said the third journal prompt first, so LOL on that one. So we're just going backwards from what I pasted in the chat. So sorry. A few more moments. All right. So the second and third journal prompts are actually from cards. from a deck called the Boundaries Conversation deck. And I felt like that was super juicy and potent tonight. This has been a really good guide in my shadow work. Sometimes we don't think about things, you know? So, and this is what it looks like. It's a cool little green deck. Okay. So the second journal prompt is, when do you feel the most need to justify or defend your boundaries? When do you feel the most need to justify or defend your boundaries? Give you guys a few more minutes, moments, I'm sorry. Okay. And last but certainly not least, this is more of a, so this deck is really cool. This deck has reflection cards and what would you do cards, right? So we got the reflection card, which was the one we just did. Now this is a what would you do, okay? And I'm gonna have you guys journal on it. So you revoke consent for making out with someone after agreeing to making out with them earlier. They become upset with you for it. What do you do? And I have this in the chat. It's actually journal prompt number 1 because I said them backwards. But yes. So interesting, right? Very interesting. But I thought this deck was perfect because it keeps speaking to those boundaries, right? And speaking up for ourselves and stepping into that space. So I was like, why not pull from this deck? And these are the two that it gave us. So, all right. So you revoke consent after agreeing to making out earlier. Now you don't want to, you've changed your mind, you're not about it. And they're mad at you for changing your mind. So how are you going to handle that? Is it, sorry, sucks to suck? Or is it, how are you going to handle it? So I'll give you a few moments to just journal about it. Even if it is short and sweet and it's like, oh well, sucks to suck, it's my body, it's my choice, and that's your answer, but say it invokes something else, it activates something else in you, write that shit down. Get it out. You gotta feel it to heal it. So give you guys some music to journal with. All right, I'll give you a few more moments just to wrap up. And I'm gonna be sending that playlist too. It's only a few songs, but whatever, you know. Maybe you want to go back and journal more or on all of this that it brought up later, then you have some tunes to kind of vibe with. So I want to thank everyone for showing up here tonight, first of all. And before I send you off, I have a poem that I heard earlier when I asked my daughter to hand me my folder. So this poem is written by, Maya Luna. Her name's Maya Luna. I didn't want to say the wrong name. She wrote this poem when they overthrew Roe v. Wade. If that tells you the energy that this is coming with. But it speaks. And it speaks. Actually, it screams. So it's called Mother of All. Those witches they burned were gynecologists, midwives, doula, miscarriage tender, pregnancy preventer, medicine carrier, potion bottle, herb, and womb. The ones who knew that secret incantation, the mysteries of the blood of incarnation. Body of woman, most ancient temple, original church, the first place of worship and reverence. Body of woman, bridge between spirit and matter, pulling souls down to earth, stitching divine into flesh. Body of woman, that swelling of tide that sheds and dies, grows and births, feeds life and kills life, right between her thighs. Body of woman, turning cycles with the moon, endless throb of creation, portal between the two worlds. Is it any wonder that the witches they burned, pretending to this temple of relentless power and aching divinity, were also devotees of the goddess, goddess of moon, goddess of snake, goddess of earth and dirt, booming your orgasming birth, screaming love into being, singing us all to our death. Radical realm of impermanence, incarnation, and eminence. Snake sheds skin. Moon sheds skin. Womb sheds skin. All matter sheds its skin as it blossoms, blooms, and dies. Matter, which means mother, mother of life. We have visioned you only in the light, generous, self-sacrificing face of the feminine, sweet, gentle mother of yes. We have tried to banish your other face, mother of death, dark mother of destruction, miscarriage, menstruation, and even abortion. We forgot a good mother knows when to say no. We forgot how to bow our heads low to the sacred act of letting go. Body of woman, we fear what you know about existence. But the witches knew, the midwives knew, how to anoint that round-bellied one, who is both light and dark, life and death, who turns time, who both gives and takes away. They've tried to break our backs, to bow for 500 years, to worship the idols of transcendence, to forsake the sacred eminence, repent our sins to the fathers for forgiveness, who say they are pro-life yet know nothing of the vital mysteries of creation. The witches knew that God was no man, and that's why they had to burn. Body of woman, you are the place they cannot wash out, cannot erase, cannot get clean. You are the terrifying reminder of everything we wish to forget. Body of woman, sanctuary of beginnings, fertile ground of sacred endings. You are the whole truth of the nature of reality. You are holy darkness bleeding into holy light. Body of woman whose power is beyond all power, whose power has been envied, scorned, hated, vilified, demonized, tortured, and traumatized. Body of woman, you are the soft place and tender place, the soft, pink, and tender place where violence and war has been waged, where the religion of unfathomable love became the place of abominable domination. Body of woman, your body has been made not your own. Body of woman, they tried to take the goddess out of you. Witch and stitch and potion, herb and blood and baptism. Body of woman, bridge between spirit and matter, vessel of the two worlds, holy portal of life and death. Forgive us, Mother, for we know not what we do. And I had to read that because if that doesn't touch on the sacred rage that we all carry collectively, I don't know what does. And it's so important that we feel it. And it's so important that we acknowledge it. And like I said, that sacred space between where we feel it before we react. We can use this fuel for education, for change. We are powerful together. And of course, that's what they fear, but they ain't stopping us. We are here. Whew. And so with that, I just want to thank you guys for tuning in tonight. And I send you off with a blessing prayer. May the longtime sun shine upon you and all love surround you, and the warm light within you guide your way home. And with that, I'm going to close the circle. Blessed be.